Hello everybody, my name is Danielle Fopp and I will be taking you through today's lecture. In this lecture we are going to be discussing an introduction to the project appraisal process, specifically looking at what is a project appraisal. So to begin with, we are going to start with a definition. Project appraisal is the process of assessing, in a structured way, the case for proceeding with a project or proposal or the project's viability. So let's unpack that. A little further. We have the assessment or appraisal of a project, and in this course we are looking specifically at construction projects. Now, a project appraisal is a process of appraising a construction project, and it involves the detailed examination of the project against numerous criteria. Now, this process often involves various appraisal techniques, and that's the criteria, and these are from both an economic point of view, so financial, cost benefit, profitability, but also a non-economic appraisal point of view, and that's more of a results-orientated perspective. We will also be looking at criteria including technical, political, financial, and social factors, and we will use these to assess the viability of the project. And this is all completed for your client. Now, in industry or in the office, what does this actually look like? Well, we have the project appraiser, and for this course, you will be the project appraiser. We are then generally given a project brief or a project description, which we can see on the laptop screen. And then we need to utilise numerous appraisal techniques to consider whether the project is viable or not. This includes, as we said, NPV, political, environmental, approvals, and the project appraiser will then make recommendations based on these appraisal techniques for the client. The project appraiser or the project appraisal team do not make the decision themselves. So as a project appraiser, you make recommendations, but you do not decide if the construction project will proceed or not. So let's dive in and recap that. We have the project appraiser, who uses appraisal methods and techniques to evaluate the key factors regarding the viability of the project proposal. Now, depending on the size of the project, this may be a team or an individual, but as I mentioned, for the purposes of this course, we will refer to the project appraiser as an individual. Then we have the potential project. This is not 100% defined and finished yet, but it's more defined than simply a mere idea. For example, site selection, etc. has already been chosen. Then we have the project brief, and this contains a project proposal and any other important information consolidated and gathered to date. This might include feasibility studies, any stakeholder engagement outputs, and so on. It also has identified the need for the project and sets out any project objectives, and these will be key in your project appraisal. This may also consider any existing and likely future problems and reports on the options which have been considered, and may provide a history of the development of the project where this exists. And all of this information in the project brief is imperative for your project appraisal. So we've had a look at a definition, we've started to unpack what is a project appraisal, and we've also had a look at some of the key items that will be given to you as the project appraiser. So what does a project appraisal involve? Well, let's provide a quick overview, and we will build on this throughout the rest of the course. Appraising a project requires several questions to be answered about the project, and we know that these include that the entire project should be objectively appraised from an economic perspective, from a strategic perspective, from a technical perspective, environmental, legal, political, social perspective, plus many more. and these will often fall on what the client needs to have appraised from you. We can then provide a recommendation of, is the project sensible and viable for the client? Throughout these appraisal techniques, we will understand better what are the main obstacles to the project's implementation. And we're going to touch on these items further throughout the course. This is your building base. We know that project appraisals deal not only with the project in question, but also with the industries and communities in which the project will be carried out in. The appraisal will examine the implications for the economy as a whole. For example, if a car manufacturing plant was proposed as a project, the appraiser would also review the relationship of the car plant to its feeder industry, which is the transport sector. It would examine the availability of highways and petrol or energy supply, for example. For large-scale project appraisals, they will also require site visits and on-site investigations to verify any desktop data collected and to review all of those factors of a project: reconditioning, business environment, location and markets, etc.